Okay, so first, I just want to give it just publicly recognize Karen, who, for one thing, led our team meeting last week, did a great job just getting that chapter talking about the BS we tell ourselves, because that is a true story, right? So it was good to review that when I heard it last night. But then also Karen helped lead an amazing cleanse group last week. So if you guys were involved in that, like Karen was always just sharing great recipes, encouragement, fun tips. And like, I just think, I mean, a leader can help make a good group. Also, what makes a group is a good group where everybody's participating. And so we definitely had a good group, but I think Karen took it to the next level by everything she was sharing and the vulnerability there and just the fact that she was doing it too. So thank you so much, Karen. And I hope that it inspired some of you to maybe do something like that yourselves or collaborate with somebody else on the team and do a cleanse. I'm totally open to doing another one either later this month or in February. Like, this is the time of year people want to do it. So I highly encourage you to share some of those stories that people have shared in that cleanse group about how much weight they've lost or how good they're feeling. Share some of the pictures of what they're making. I often share those kind of testimonials in my stories because I want people to know I'm helping customers and this is what my customers are saying. Like, you want people to know that you are helping others. And so I say, you can obviously black out names and things like that, but use those quotes of what people are saying about the cleanse. So yeah, keep that in mind and organize one yourself. So, all right. So specials for currently is 20% off Meology. That's a great one to start talking to your customers about. And of course, that includes the kids and the prenatals. I've even had some of my current customers be like, that I really love Vitalizer. You guys all know I love Vitalizer, but I love having people take the Meology quiz because it sometimes expands their product usage. They start using some of the specialty products like Joint Health or GLA or MindWorks. And so it is good to kind of upsell people on the Meology. And of course, Meology Kids, it's such a great deal anyway, and the prenatals. So, and then, of course, free business with any order of 150 if people want to do that. It's a great time to talk to people about business, talk to people about finances, and a free boost for any new customer. That's something that Shaklee is doing this month too, which is awesome. And one other thing I wanted to mention to you is I noticed that Christy Lyons is doing a Zoom tomorrow night on 10 ways to crush your business in the new year. And even though Christy and I don't do business the same way, I'm always learning from Christy, and Christy makes stuff that sounds hard to me sound a lot more simple because it is more simple to her. And I overthink it sometimes and scare myself. And so I love hearing from Christy because she inspires me to go out and work a little harder. And so, so if you want the link for that, just ask me and I can send it to you because I think it's going to be a good one. It will likely be recorded. I don't know, but I can let you know on that. So, all right, but what I really want to get to, well, because you're all here, I want to take your picture. So everybody smile. I'm so glad you're here. It's always so great to see your faces. And I look forward for all of us hopefully being together again in California in a few months. And so let's talk today about how your time is worth $962 an hour. Raise your hand if you read this chapter. Christy read it. Okay, we have a lot of people that read it. Good job, good job. Okay, good. So hopefully maybe I can hear from some of you today, or if you feel more comfortable typing in the chat, because it's always more fun to hear some of your thoughts about this. And honestly, if you read nothing else in this book, this is one of those really good chapters that I got a lot out of because all of us are crunched for time. All of us are. And so how can we use our time wisely and be most efficient? Like, she really breaks it down to the nitty gritty. I also really like the chapter before it about the BS we tell ourselves. That's another good one. So anyway, that was also why I had put something in the chat about should we go forward, but it sounds like I've heard from a lot of you that we'll probably just wrap up this book next week and move forward because you are reading it, which I'm glad for. So, all that to say, $962 an hour. Why did she get that number? It's because she wanted to make $1 million in a year, and she only wanted to work 20 hours a week. And so she calculated that and figured out that she was worth $962 an hour. And I don't know if any of you want to make $1 million. You might not, or may not even feel like that's possible. But what if you wanted to make like $20,000 this year or $60,000? I encourage you to do the math that she mentions in there about how much your time is worth. If you want to work 20 or maybe 30 hours a week, or maybe you only can work 10 hours a week, think it through and think about how much your time is worth, because it kind of helps you start thinking more strategically about your time. Truly, time is our most valuable commodity. And my business has taught me this over the years. And once I've realized that, I've learned places where I was wasting time in my life or in my business, and I've learned how to shift things. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Well, one thing I wanted to mention though is when I was first early on in my business, there were things I did early in my business that were worth my time early in my business and not worth my time later. So here's an example. When I first started my business, I hosted a big event. I worked from event to event. I would invite people, whoever could come, then either they ordered there or I followed up with them or, whatever. And I worked from event to event. Every month I did at least 2 events. That was my goal when I first started. And every month when I had my next 2 events, I would look back at everybody invited that couldn't come and re-invite them or invite some new people, see if someone would host an event for me, all the things. I worked from event to event. Often I would have people that weren't ready to become a member yet, but they wanted to order a couple things, And so what I would do is, of course, I just want to get the order, of course, right? That's PV for me. So I'd put it with my order, and then I would deliver it to their houses when the products arrived. And over time, I realized that was not a good use of my time, because I was spending a lot of time driving around town or calculating how much they owed me. Now, the positives of that, I will say the positives is it gave me more face-to-face interaction with people. I often put a little sample in the product. And that if they sampled a product, they often bought it. So that was a good investment of my time. So there were pros to it. But as my business started to get bigger, and often I would have people say, hey, can you throw this on your next order? Hey, can you bring this to me at church? Hey, can you bring that to me at the Y? I realized I was spending a lot of brain power figuring out how much people owed me, remembering, okay, I'm going to the Y, I got to make sure I bring these 3 things with me, even though that was also tax deductible mileage. It still was taking a lot of brain power and stress. Or even on a church on a Sunday morning when I really do want to be focused on worshiping the Lord and having conversations with people about God or connecting with people, I was like, oh, I got to find this person because I got to deliver this product to her. And it felt stressful. It was a stress cost and it was a time cost. And so instead, I started shifting my language to people with, oh, you get free shipping with 150. Do you want to put a couple of those things on the order? Oh, it's only 150 for free shipping. And honestly, that's how I get most of my first-time customers. Is I say your first order should be 150. Just stock up on a few things, and all of your future orders, you'll get 15% off. You get free shipping. And any of my repeat customers often do order once every 2 or 3 months with 150 orders rather than having me do that. Or I've said, you can come on over to my house anytime and I'll have it for you. But I've really tried to shift away from that, because that was a time, my time is valuable, and it was taking away time from me talking to new people, prospecting, all the things. So that was one of those things that I realized. And so I would love to hear from you, since I know many of you read it. This has maybe given you some thought. I love that she gave some time management ideas in there, or maybe pointed out some ways you're wasting time. So I'd love to hear from you on what's something that stuck out to you on how am I maybe wasting time? And even things that are good are still good, but maybe we spend too long doing them. That's often for me too. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. What were some ahas in this chapter?
I think one of the biggest things for me was, and I had already been on this path before I read this chapter, was my schedule. Having my phone with me is great. I put everything in my calendar, but I don't look at it. And so I went and bought a big paper calendar that I can put up and look at. And so just her talking about scheduling your week and sitting down and doing that. So that's my goal, is to sit down and schedule my week and plan it out and really make sure that I am making the most use of my time.
Great. Have you had a chance to do that yet, Christy?
I did for the first week of the year, and I didn't do it this last week, so I'm getting back to it. I'll do it tonight and then have it for the rest of the week. So
that's great. That's great. It's good. I got in the habit of always doing that on a Sunday. I might do it on a Sunday morning if I get up before the family, or if nothing else, a Sunday night. And that's been one of my routines, but it took me a while to do it. And I always thought it would be hard. But then once I did it, I realized how much open time I had. Oh, I've got this open time here in this afternoon, or I've got this open time here. You realize how much more time you have than you think. So good, Christy. Thanks for sharing.
I'll share because I've been trying the past few months to figure out my time schedule pretty much since school started. Like I just have felt very, very scattered. I'm pretty good about setting my day the night before, and but I'm just like you, Christy, where I haven't got great at like writing it down in a place. I've always just run in my brain. And so if you watch the Monday motivation call on the very first of this year with Carlos Cortez, he said so many things that was just like, oh yes, because he said that the calendar is a tool of decision. And that part just really like stuck with me, because I always think of it as a tool of organization, right? But no, it's a tool of decision, because if you put something down on the calendar, you are deciding to commit to that. And so it is true that I've seen in my business, even with trying to get people to connect with me so I can talk to them more, if I can't get them to commit to a time on the schedule, on the calendar, it doesn't happen. Whether it be my friend I'm just trying to have coffee with, or me saying like, I'm going to be doing this at this time. So I'm trying to be more intentional too with maybe writing it down. The challenge that I have, and that's why I agree that this chapter spoke to me again of just like, oh man, I really need to figure this out. The challenge that, and she talks about this, how every day is different. And that's my challenge. And the challenge I have too, that I notice, and I've noticed this and I'm trying to work on getting better about it, is that when I have very small chunks of time in my day. Like right now, my girls are playing very nicely. And so I've had about the past 45 minutes, but when I have such small chunks of time, sometimes I spend time just trying to figure out what to start with, because I feel like I have this list this big of like, okay, I need to work on my Facebook post for this. I need to follow up with this person. I need to do this. I need to make sure that I change that person's loyalty order. So I have this list, and it takes me like 10 minutes just to, or even longer sometimes. And I find I'm procrastinating and getting started because I don't know where to start. And then before I know it, the 45 minutes have passed and I'm like, what did I do? I didn't do anything with my time. So I do feel like I've been spinning my wheels a little bit, because I've been feeling so overwhelmed with, well, what do I need to focus in on? I'm a very routine person. And so like my workouts, for example, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday morning, I know I'm doing that. And once I get in the routine, I'm good. But right now I'm struggling to figure out what that routine is.
Well, I was just typing in, you're not alone, but then I dropped my computer. But I think lots of us feel that way, right? Raise your hand if you feel like you can't decide. You have a million things on the list and you can't decide. That is such a mom thing. I think it's a woman thing, because we're multitaskers. Our brains are like spaghetti. We don't compartmentalize the way our men do. And so it's all real. One tip I have that Charlene Fite gave me is called the 1-3-5 rule, where each night before you go to bed, if you can do this, or even in the morning, if you're looking through your day, think of the number one thing that would be the most important thing for you to get done this day, that like it would move the needle the most in your business. And it's probably the hardest thing, and it's the scariest thing. It's the one thing you actually want to put off doing because it's probably like inviting people, right? Or those kind of things, planning an event maybe. And then 3 things that would also be really great if you could get them done. And then five things that would also be icing on the cake if you could get them done, right? But if you can kind of pare it down to that, or you even just say, okay, the number one thing is really for me to invite people. So number 1 is like invite 5 people to this event or whatever. I love how she talks so much about we should be spending 80% of our time prospecting people. That was good for me to rehear. So, but anyways, that sometimes has helped me prioritize, because usually my number 1 thing is a thing I don't want to do. And I want to do all the 5s, which are usually easy. Like I want to do the dishes and I want to do this, I want to do that. And I've learned I can use my brain power and my the dishes get put off until my kids are eating lunch, because I can multitask with that. Whereas it used to be I would do the dishes as soon as the kids left for school, but that was often a quiet time. And so just trying to learn to manage my day and where are my empty parts so that I'm using the quietest time for the most important thing. So, and you'll get better at that as time goes on, but that was one thing that helped me. So other thoughts from this chapter that helped you, or time managing skills that you want to share with the group? All right. Well, I won't twist anybody's arms. But yeah, I love that she also mentioned, like, don't check your email a million times, don't check Facebook a million times. Like that was, yeah, that was something that was convicting for me. And so this is the last thing I wanted us to take a little time to do today. I know our time's almost up, but if you have a piece of paper, I want you to make a list, basically 2 columns where you've got your time suckers and your and your money makers. Actually, time suckers, money makers. 2 columns. And I want you to think about what are things that you're sucking your time with and what are things that are money makers. And it may be, I actually put a few things in the middle, like on the line, because I put like writing an email in the middle, because I could overthink an email and spend 2 hours writing it. That's not a good use of my time, but I will tell you, every time I send an email, I make money. So it's good for me to do that, but my emails don't need to take 2 hours of my time to write the most perfect email in the world. So it's things like that, or a Facebook post, same thing. I'll spend too long overthinking a Facebook post, but it's good to do it. And so I have a lot of social media, and sending an email on that line of could be a time waster, but it's also a money maker. So am I spending too much time on these things? Overthinking. I put overthinking in my time suckers category, because I spend a lot of time overthinking. Should I talk to this person? What is she gonna give me? Blah, 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 blah. It wastes our time and our mental space, and it doesn't make us money. So, so I encourage you to, take a little time to put some stuff down on what's your time sucker, what's your money maker, what's right in the middle that is just good for you to be aware of, so you don't spend too much time on it. Obviously, money makers. What are your money makers? I'd love to hear from you. You can type it in or you can say it out loud. I know you're writing, so that's good. Money makers are?
I put down voice messages and follow-ups.
Voice messages and follow-ups. Good. Talking to people. Talking to people. That's your money maker, and that's the scariest thing. Oh, what else?
I was gonna just ask a question of like where you guys think like events are. I know that they can be money makers, but sometimes I feel like I spend so much time creating the events, or that it feels like a time sucker. I don't know how.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure where to put.
I think if you know that about yourself, Dawn, I think it goes in that middle category. So what is the most important for those events that you could live? What could you live without? What could you, do more efficiently? What could you maybe even enlist your kids to help you with, right? Like sometimes like if you're making protein balls for it, could your girls help you with that? And that's like a fun project together during their awake learning time. Today, kids, we're going to learn how to make protein balls. I don't know. But those are, it's true. And like, it can be both. So if you know that, then one of the things I've learned is a lot of times my in-home events for the longest time were basically the same thing. It was always about the Shaklee difference and what products we have, but it would have a different spin. Is it about women's health? And I'd start out by talking a little bit about women's health, but then it still goes down to the Shaklee difference and the Prove It Challenge / what is it? Ready, Set, Wellness Now. And then maybe a couple other products, right? Or it's kids health, started talking about kids health, the Shaklee difference, kids supplements, so it's often the same format, but I call it something different. So yeah, I felt the same way, that I was doing the same thing. So I tried to like figure out my system. What was my system for it? And so I hope that helps a little bit. But I will
I have
tell
a question.
you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Do you guys do a like time blocking calendar where you're like, those calendars where it's like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., blah, 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 throughout the whole day? Or do you just make the list and like kind of prioritize the list on the like day? What has worked?
I find
Okay,
it
what works for
easier
me?
to, if I look
go
at
ahead.
it, if I can see, sorry, is it okay if I?
No, feel free. Yes.
I've done both, Rebecca, and I find that if I can actually see where it fits into my day, like with time blocking, then I'm more likely to get it done versus if it's just in a list and I'm just like, okay, well, I'll just sort of figure out when when it's gonna happen. And then, then after dinner time happens and I haven't done a single thing on the list versus like, okay, I'm gonna plug this in here after I put the kids down for a nap, or while Peter's doing this, I'm gonna do this. It's a little bit more, I think it just depends on how your brain's wired, but like I found it helpful to see it at least hourly, like what's going on hourly during my day. It also helps me see realistically how much free time I do or don't have.
Completely agree with Havala. I mean, ditto on hourly for me as well. What's great about mine is it has a small section at the bottom, so I can put my lists on it. So I can go back and look at that and be like, okay, I've got like some open time here. I need to send that email, or I need to do this. And like, I promise you that you will get better at this if you just keep trying. So all of our brains work differently. And so I say you start your system and you just keep tweaking it for what works for you, but keep doing it every day, because you'll figure out what works for you. For me, I learned I still have a digital calendar because that keeps me and Eric in sync. But every Sunday morning or Sunday night, I go to my physical calendar and I transfer what's on that and I look things over. And then I often like message people I know I need a message. Oh, hey, I've got some open time on Tuesday morning. Would you like to chat? You know, or whatever, and kind of try to think through my week. Sometimes I do a couple weeks at a time if I'm really good. I know Charlene has talked about how she's done a month at a time. I've never done that, but I've, you know, just keep doing it and you'll figure out what works for you. And honestly, that's true for all things. That's true for this business too. So the more you keep doing it, the more you keep inviting people, the more you'll figure out how to do it and how to be most efficient. So I'm glad we had this conversation today. Oh, one last thing I did want to share with you about like your time is also think about like mom wise, what is a time waster and what's a money maker? Like for me, I used to go grocery shopping at multiple grocery stores. So I got, because I knew milk and eggs were best here and this was best here. And then I realized I was wasting time and I wasn't saving that much because I was spending it in gas and I was spending it in time. And so I then started shopping at one store or trying to make a Costco run like once a month so I could get the Costco stuff and then do the other stuff other times. So it's things like that, or I was spending a lot of time clipping coupons too. And I realized I could spend all of my focus on saving money or I could be making money. I would much rather make money. And so I don't clip coupons anymore. I don't even look at them. And although I'll definitely get sucked into whatever's on sale when I'm walking through Costco, but so these are things you can think about as a mom too, on where are you wasting time saving money when you could be making money, because we all need to be making more money so we can live around our priorities and help more people and all the things. So yeah, just wanted to encourage you in that. So keep thinking about those things. And then I don't have anything on our calendar, but like you guys all know what to do. You all have been doing this a long time. So I encourage you to think about, okay, what do I want to put on my calendar? Do I want to host an in-home event? Do I want to just be prospecting people and seeing if they'll watch a webinar and then I can follow up with them? Our new gal, Julie, she's totally done that. And that's how she's done all of her business since she started the last couple of months. I look forward to introducing you to her soon. But like you guys all know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. So keep doing it and do it a lot and you will get better at it. Lots of people will tell you no, but lots of people will tell you yes. And it's going to be a great year of excitement. So next week, we're going to finish up the book. It'll be a fast one. So we'll just finish it up and then we'll move forward talking about goals and have some guest speakers and things like that. So, all right. So glad you guys are all here. Keep us updated in the group on what you're doing. I'm sure we'll get ideas from each other and get excited from each other. And maybe we can collaborate on some things too. So reach out to people in the group if you want to collaborate too. All right. Talk to you later, friends. Bye.